Hi folks, welcome back to the shop. It's a very busy day here today. It's early September and already the weather outside is turning autumnal. I've got a jacket on this morning, it's a little bit cooler. Anyway, we've got a very busy day today. We better get stuck in. So, slight bit of fun this morning. It's delayed getting started. The major problem with the vac bed, I made some adjustments to it because it wasn't giving the kind of suction that I needed. So I had to do some quick changes. Gave me a chance to give it a good clean underneath anyway, which is always good to stop any debris getting down. But for some reason when I put it back together it didn't suck at all. So I mean, this is what happens to the MDF beds. They're great when you put them down. If you leave them down they kind of lie in the position they are, but when you take them off, if you want to do work, when you remove the MDF bed, because it's exposed to the air on the top, we're in an area that has dramatic changes in the environment, if you like, around here from being near the coast. It's constantly damp, and in the last few days it's been very dry, so they tend to bow and warp, and when you lift them off that warp accentuates. So it didn't go back on straight, so and I just could not get it to go down at all. I flipped it over, done a 180 on it. So this is now what was on the bottom before. It seems to be flatter this way around in terms of its holding down, so that's good. I can't be 100% certain it's completely flat and level with the CNC because obviously it's been flipped over and there may be slight variations there. But for the moment, for the purposes of cutting the first item, which is the parrot box, this will do. It's got a quick cut out here. So I've put a few screws down just to hold it here where it's a little bit lifted. I've got to tighten that one down there. And put the vacuum on and we'll carry on cutting with that, but I'll switch to a different camera while we're filming. Well, as you can see, I've had a few problems with that. I don't know how well you can actually clearly see, but there's a lot of dust on this part here, and in that corner here, which means the bed is lifting at the edges and lower here, so it will need skimming before I carry on. But yeah, it's going to be fun all day fighting with this, but it needs levelling properly. But these are what happens, working with CNC doesn't always go correct every time, but there you have it. It's fine. I can clean the edges up on that, that's no problem at all, and just quickly punch that hole out that didn't quite go through. But it was way off. It was probably from here to over here, something like a millimetre to 1.5 millimetres difference in height. So just over, what's that? It's probably around about 5 inches. 125 mil, 135 mil. That's the difference, the height of the bed, which is quite ridiculous. But we'll get it sorted, but we'll carry on for the meanwhile. Okay, I've got set up for job number 2 today. I can't do both of them on this piece like I'd hoped because I need one that size as well, but at least we can get one part out of this bit here. It isn't sitting particularly flat, so I'll have to put some pressure on as it's going, and I think judging how fun I've had holding it, it is going to be as awkward to cut as the last piece. That can go in the scrap bin once we've cut this part out. Let's get stuck in. As I said, today's going to be one of those days. It didn't quite cut through again here. I'll file it off when I tidy the edges anyway. The eagle-eyed among you will have noticed that this particular product has the centre cutouts in it. The centre cutouts are important for the product we're doing, but more importantly, they also provide bird box protector plates, standard bird box holders, so we get a use for the bits in the middle, which we can put to use, you know, and sell elsewhere. So it's always handy to think about the part in the middle, but yeah, always worthwhile trying to use up the extra parts if you can, because that's another sale and another day. Right, let's get this one sorted out. I reckon I'm going to get a crook in my back by the end of this. Anyway, set up for the third piece. Again, I've just used an offcut. This is when we used to get blanks cut almost to size back in the day, and then we used to just drill holes in it and cut corners out, things like that. So a lot of this now is redundant, just sitting on the shelf. So these small products are handy for using up some of the stock that we have left over, because we're not likely to go back to doing that, at least not in any time soon. So I've got it on there. I've just put some screws around the edges this time round, so it's held in all four directions, only slightly down, but it shouldn't matter for this small part. So we'll get this detailing product cut out now, get this one on the go. Okay, still crouching down, can't seem to fit the CNC and me in the frame at the same time without doing that. It's good for the knees, I'm told, never mind the back. Anyway, last main part for us, cut out today. Turns out the bow ties I mentioned earlier already got on the shelf, so I don't need to cut those, send the ones I've got. So if I've got an item in stock, I'd rather use that. But that's the last of our parts. That's the nozzle holder and pressure gun holder. I've got to do the acrylic in a bit, but I've first of all got to do a custom part for someone else in the aluminium, but I've got to go and create the CNC cam and CAD for that very quickly, so I'll go and do that, and then we'll get that part set up, and that'll be the last of the aluminium, get cleaned up, we can then get onto the acrylic, and then after that we can get forming all these parts into the appropriate shapes, get them cleaned up and get them ready to ship. It's getting a bit warmer now, but take your top off. Sun's definitely out. We'll see how it goes, see if it stays like this all day. It'd be lovely if it does. Right, okay, got the last piece of metal in. This is a thinner sheet, 1mm thick. Don't cut this thin too often. Believe it or not, it can actually be harder to hold down a thinner sheet than it can a thicker sheet, even with a vacuum. So, let's get into this. And now we have it with these two flanges. That's the aluminium cut for today. I've just got to clean these up, do the usual deburring, get the edges tidied whether you can see some of the tool marks. That's be ready to go to the client then. But there we go, that's the parts cut, so no harm, no foul, got them done at the end. Okay, so I've got the acrylic loaded now into the bed of the CNC. I've had to use a bit of double-sided sticky tape to hold it down. Obviously the vacuum would never hold a small piece like this. So I've got a frame of previous cutout, a bit of wood around the sides, so I've got some lateral protection stuck down and the double-sided sticky tape on the bottom to Okay, so that's now this part cut out. I've just got to take off the plastic that's on there, so the double-sided sticky tape, peel that off, get this cleaned up slightly. Just needs a little touch up. They've all come free, so that's good. Okay, I'm going to start cleaning up the other parts we cut, the aluminium ones. I'm not going to film that because it's fairly dull. It's just me at a grinding wheel. Okay, let's crack on. Onto the forming side now. I'm going to form these two parts. That one the pressure gun and nozzle holder, and this one the lap gas bottle holder. They now need to be formed up into their shape and then get a final clean up afterwards. I don't know how much you're going to see. I've got a little camera pointing that way just to show you what I'm doing. I'll only film this one because it takes, it's far more complicated, lots of setups. It's not exactly exciting, but just give you an idea of you know, the next phase of this, if you like. So let's get stuck in. So I'm going to turn my back on you, I do apologise. I've got a backstop behind, which I need to adjust, and the first set is 15mm. I've probably got a 15mm gauge in my box. That's bigger than 15, but it's just easier to very quickly eyeball this. So what I do is put the centre of the blade, these are all blades on here, onto 15mm on the ruler. Do this both ends. Just make sure it's tight. Do it a couple of times because it's easier to keep checking now. There we go. Bit of plastic there just stops that marking. In, making sure that's straight. And I'm just giving that a little bend. That's just to hold the gun in place when it's on the wall. That's all, so that will sit like that on the wall. And now I need to bend this bit down. It's a slightly more awkward deck because that's 27mm. Go. So again, just nick the steel rule just to grab that distance, same this side. There we go. That's good, happy with that. Again, put the plastic in. Put the form in. Really should have moved this out of the way. And there we go, simple as that. That is quickly formed nozzle holder. I've just got some grommets to put in there, final clean up, peel off all the tape, and that one's ready to go. I'm going to crack on now with the slightly more complicated matte glass one, which is even more awkward to film because I've got a lot of manoeuvrability. So I'm going to pass on filming that. We'll be right back shortly. Okay, so that's today's parts cut and formed, as you can see. That's the matte gas one now. It's been formed up. It's complicated because I'm trying to avoid these parts catching on the machine as it's bending, especially with this bevel that I've got in the fascia. I have got a film about that. It just explains, you know, some of the issues you come up against when creating parts and when designing parts. You know, you end up looking better than just a square box by giving it a bit of form, a bit of shape. You can come unstuck if you don't think about the tooling as well. So I've just got to finish tightening these up, get them all cleaned. I've got the bow ties over there that say we're on the shelf, and we'll get these packaged and sent out. So hopefully this has given you some insight into sort of an average day. CNC shop, both making our own parts and when we get orders from customers for their own bespoke products. It's great fun, it's very varied, there's lots going on and sometimes challenging, as you saw earlier on, but it's just nature of the beast. You just get on and get it done. So I suppose the next job after all this is to get the spoil board flattened properly and be a bit more level. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do tell me what you think about this sort of style, if it's of interest to you. It's been fun to make, and we'll see you again soon for another one. Take care.